Hello everyone, what's up? It's me again, Young Monster 3, and this is going to be one hell of an update video because, like you know, I've not uploaded any videos in quite a while now, and I was thinking of making the Horrorthon video and the top 5 of the month of October in one single video where I basically go through the films that I've watched and then I pick out the 5 movies that I enjoy the most out of those. So that's going to be an upcoming video, and unfortunately, I haven't done any review videos either. I've just not had any energy for it because, yeah, I've been sick and I've been having some real trouble with myself really recently. So that's the reason why there's been a lack of uploads. But yeah, without further ado, let's begin with the update video. So there's plenty of films to go through, so I'm not gonna talk that much about every single title, but first up, we have, let's see what it's called in English, The Night of the Generals. Sorry for the glare, but this is the best I can do at the moment. The sun is going in right over here, if you can see that, which is really annoying. And I don't have any curtain there, so that's really stupid. I should have fixed that as well. But anyway, The Night of the Generals, never seen this before. This is the Swedish title, by the way. I think this is with Peter O'Toole, yeah. Then I picked up this one. The reason why, you might ask yourself, why did you pick up the Spanish release of this film? Well, it did have Swedish subtitles, and also the Swedish release of this film goes for ridiculous money nowadays, so I'm glad I found it for a very decent price. Victory, or also known as Road to Victory. This is one hell of a weird film. Watched this quite recently. It has Sylvester Stallone, Michael Caine, and a bunch of real football players, so like professional football players at the time. And this film just really doesn't know what it wants to be. It's sort of like an escape type film from prison, and it's also a football film. And that's the main issue with the film, in my opinion. It's just a big mess, but it's kind of fun to see Sylvester Stallone as a goaltender in one of these teams. So yeah, interesting film, and not I would not recommend that unless you're a big Sylvester Stallone fan or Michael Caine fan in general. So yeah. Now we have a bunch of Western films. I've gotten really much more into the Western genre recently, so I decided to pick up these films. First up, we have a Clint Eastwood film called The Coogan's Bluff. Not too sure if this is actually Western or not, but I just assumed it was a Western because of how he looks on the front cover, so can be totally wrong about that. Then we have a film called The Spikes Gang with Lee Marvin. The thing is, I might have showed some of these films before in any update video before, but my memory isn't really the greatest, so I don't really remember too much anymore. Then we have the film called Hanny Calder. Not really sure if that's the original title or not, but it has Robert Culp, Ernest Borgnine, Raquel Welch, Christopher Lee, and Jack Elam in it. I think this is the only Western film Christopher Lee has appeared in, so that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to get that film. Then we have Big Jake with John Wayne. Might have showed you that before, so that's the reason why I kind of speed up now. Then we have the film called Cat Baloo. Another film with Lee Marvin. I think there's plenty of Lee Marvin films in here right now today, so yeah. This one I think I might have showed before. The Great Northfield, Minnesota Raid. Great looking cover art. Never seen the film before, but that cover really got me interested. Then we have a film with Joel Brunner and Brunner. I never understand how you pronounce his name, but it also has Charles Bronson in it and Robert Mitchum. Villa Rides. Yeah. Then we have a film with Burt Lancaster called Apache. Yeah. This is one weird collaboration as well, in my opinion. Kirk Douglas, Anna Margaret, and Arnold Schwarzenegger in Cactus Jack. I'm not sure if that's the original title or not. I think it's known as something else as well. It doesn't say on the back either, but I think this has some other title as well. This is also known as, what am I talking about? This is directed by Hal Needham, who did the BMX film Rad, and he did Cannonball Run 1 and 2, I think he also did some like car-related films with Burt Reynolds back in the day. So, yeah. Then we have this is with, I think this is based on the true Doc Holliday. I think that was a real person. Doc with Stacy Keach. Then The Lost Train from Gun Hill, another Kirk Douglas film. Now this one, whoa, what a cast in this. Lee Van Cleef, Jim Brown, Fred Williamson, Jim Kelly, wow. Take a Hard Ride. And this is an old Anchor Bay release. Those are not very easy to come across nowadays because Anchor Bay is pretty much debunked, or like whatever you want to call it at this time. I think they went out of business when I think it was the owner that passed away, and no one really took over, I believe. So yeah. Well, that aside, the next film is called Night Passage. James Stewart, another James Stewart Western film. The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. Yeah, also with John Wayne. John Wayne again, but this time with Kirk Douglas. The War Wagon. And then I have actually seen the remake of this, and I must admit I wasn't that big fan of that. I think that was kind of mediocre at best. But this is the original one with Chuck Connors. The movie is Geronimo. I think this is also known as My Name is Geronimo or something. Okay, of course it doesn't say on the back either, but I think that might be the alternative title for it. Then Winchester 73. James Stewart again, and then we have a war film with Gregory Peck called MacArthur. Really cool looking cover art. Now this one, the reason why I want to get this is because I think this is the only film Elvis Presley did that wasn't like a musical in any way. This is just a straightforward Western, and also I think this was made like just like 1 year or so before he died. Sharrow. A little bit glare there, but yeah, that's what you get when the film is still sealed. Then we have the film called Jake Speed. This has to be one of the ugliest looking cover arts I've seen. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think John Hurt is a great actor and everything, but there's no need to just shove his face on the front cover for an action film. Never seen this before, but I did realize after I bought this that this also has a Blu-ray release released by Arrow. So if I might enjoy this, and if the cover, or like if I enjoy this enough, I might pick up the Blu-ray as well eventually. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. Then we have the movie called Life Stinks with Mel Brooks. This is the one he made it in the early 90s. Might have been one of the last films he directed. I think Dracula, what's it called? Dracula Lives, I believe, was the last film he directed before he retired. I don't think he's active as a director anymore, but I think he's probably more involved like as a producer or something like that. I can be totally wrong about that, but yeah. Then we have the film called Gettysburg, apparently based on true events about the American Civil War. Don't know too much about that whole history, but this film is really damn long, so I need to have some I need to be in a certain mood to watch this, probably, because it says it's 244 minutes long. Wow. Now the next one is actually a box set, and the main reason why I want to get this is because this has the movie Bamboo House of Dolls in it, which is a women in prison film produced by the Shaw Brothers back in the 70s, 73 I believe, yeah. The Shaw Brothers, Sexy and Sleazy. This also has Miniskirt Gang and Sexy Girls of Denmark in it. I think Sexy Girls of Denmark, that just sounds like a straightforward like porno. Also Miniskirt Gang sounds really weird, but I think Miniskirt Gang and Bamboo House of Dolls are more like films, you could say, because I've heard Sexy Girls of Denmark. I mean, that title just sounds like a porno to me, but yeah, I'm not really sure. Talking about women in prison films, the next one is Savage Sisters. directed by Eddie Romero, and apparently he and that other guy, what's his name, Sergio Santiago. I think those two are really the ones that were into this type of genre back in the 70s and early 80s, I believe. I would love to get more movies by Eddie Romero because I have a bunch of Sergio Santiago films that I haven't seen yet. So as fast as I saw that documentary, I think there was some documentary they made about women in prison films and made in the Philippines in the 70s. That really got me interested to check out more of these films. So yeah, Savage Sisters. Then we have some blaxploitation stuff. Golden Needles. Never seen before, but really weird looking cover art. I think this is with the guy, what's his name? Burgess Meredith, the guy who plays Mickey in the Rocky films. Then we have the film called The Baron from, let's see, 1977, according to the back of this DVD. Then we have some more Fred Williamson action. That Man Bolt. Looks really amazing. Then we have another blaxploitation with Jim Brown. The film is Slaughter. Yeah. And this one I have actually seen before. And this is such a weird ass film that I really needed to get this when I saw this for sale. And the cover art is truly amazing as well. The Thing, now let's see, yeah, The Thing with Two Heads. Just look at that cover art. Whoa. Might have showed you that before, like I said before, so yeah, excuse me for that. Then we have the Robert Rodriguez collection, which has Machete, El Mariachi, Desperado, and Once Upon a Time in Mexico in it. Those three has some similarities with one another. I think they have, or like sequels to get to each other. Machete is the only one I've seen in this box set, and I can say that was not the main reason why I got that box set, because I do not like Machete one bit. I'd rather watch, if you want to watch a similar type of film, I would say go watch Hobo with a Shotgun. That's far superior. Then we have, this is the main reason why I want to get this is because it's a replay release. The film is called Simpatico, some thriller action type film from the late 90s. Now let's see here. Then we have a film by Umberto Lenzi, a war film. I think this is supposed to take place in the Second World War. Can be totally wrong about that, but the film is called Battle Force. And also this is a Studio S release. Really love their releases in general, because they usually release some more obscure films as well, or like old cult films. Then we have a film which I wanted to get because Lou Diamond Phillips was in this. Lone Hero. Early 2000s action film, biker film. Then we have the film The Real McCoy with Kim, what's her name? Kim Basinger, yeah. Very, I mean, I can just totally see this, like this would not be released. That's like this cover art just screams like someone will get offended by that. Well, anyway, the next one is called Heaven Can Wait from the 70s, and apparently this is some sort of remake to an older film, which I would love to get now as well. Then we have the film, another war film, which is called The Devil's Bridge, I think, yeah, Brigade, yeah, well, let's see, no, not Bridge, Brigade, The Devil's Brigade, is that how you say it? Yeah, anyway, might recognize it on the front cover. Yeah. Now this film, I was on the hunt for ages. Finally found it. I'm so glad I found it because I've only heard good things about this one. Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man, with Mickey Rourke and Don Johnson. And then I finally got this one as well. I have only seen the remake of this, so I would love to. Yeah, I'm finally glad I found the original one. This is, let's see, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I've only seen the Johnny Depp one, and I thought that was pretty funny, actually, I must say. So I think I might enjoy the original as well. Then we have The Guns of Navarone. I'm not really sure how you pronounce that, but another war film with Gregory Peck. Now I can totally see this is another one which has a very questionable cover art. The Night Porter, some Nazi exploitation type film from the, this has to be 70s. Of course, yeah, 74. What do you know? Then we have a film called They Called Him Bulldozer with Bud Spencer. I think I have most of his films now when I come to think of it. And then we have a film called Why Did You Pick on Me? I think this is some sort of sequel to another film which is just called this is sort of like a sequel to another film which I have ordered, so that's on its way as well. Then we have a film, not action film, a comedy, an early 80s comedy film called Young Doctors in Love. Yeah. Another Clint Eastwood film for you. The film is called, what's it called in English? The Eager Sanction. I think that's the way you pronounce it. And then we have Michael J. Fox in an early 90s comedy, For Love or Money. I think I have seen this before, but it was like, yeah, this has to be ages ago. Then I picked up Girl on a Motorcycle. Yeah, I think this is 70s as well. Can be totally wrong about that. Of course, it doesn't say, probably. Oh, wait a minute. I think this might be 68. Well, I need to check up on that. Now, I can totally see some of you are gonna laugh out loud because the reason why I want to get this is because it was made from the producers of the Mummy films, and I can say I am not a fan of this actor one bit, but this is long before he became like one of those action film stars, because he's basically in every single film nowadays. The Scorpion King 3-movie collection. The actor I'm referring to is The Rock. If you can even call him an actor, I think his acting is terrible. I mean, he might be a really nice person, but I don't think he is a very good actor. I've only heard really bad things about part 2 and 3, but I just figured, well, this was very cheap, so I thought, well, at least I get number 2 and number 3 very cheaply. So the only one that I was really looking forward to watching this is the first one, which I've actually heard good things about, so even though it has The Rock in it. Then we have, wait a minute, no, that's another film. This film is called The Bounty from the 80s. This is with Anthony Hopkins and Mel Gibson. Some sort of pirate film. That really got me intrigued because I don't think they made that many pirate type films in the 80s in general. Then we have a film with Sharon Stone, some thriller type film called Last Dance. Looks like, I mean, I can be totally wrong about this. I think I am, but just this cover just screams women in prison to me, but I'm pretty sure it's not. Then we have Watership Down, and don't let yourself be fooled by this cover art, because this is one of the most depressing, like, animated or like hand-drawn films that I've ever seen. Really great film though, but I would not recommend it to anyone under the age of 10, I would probably say. Well, that's just my opinion, but anyway. Then we have The Day of the Jackal from the 70s, and then we have a film by Paul Verhoeven, who of course directed RoboCop and the Starship Troopers film. Black Book. Think I might have seen this like when it was fairly new on TV, but then again it was ages ago. Can't remember too much of that. Now let's see, I need to move some things away. I'm actually gonna pause this. Oh, hey ho, let's go, let's continue. The next one is a film which I have no idea what it's called in English, because I only have the Italian title and the Swedish title. It might be called The Fascist. Not too sure, but if you look at this cover art, you might recognize it. I'm not too sure, but yeah, Studio S release. Then we have an early 90s comedy film with Steve Martin called LA Story. Another Steve Martin film which is called, of course, here we go with the Swedish titles again. Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. I think you probably recognize that cover art. Then we have Bridge at Remagen. Remagen, not really sure how you pronounce that, but yeah, war film. Then we got a 90s action thriller type film with a bunch of rappers, Ice-T, Ice Cube. Then you also have William Sadler and Bill Paxton in it. Trespass. Only are good things about that one. Really glad you found that as well, because I think that is fairly hard to come across nowadays. Then, oh god damn it, my hair is just screwing with me right now. Then we have a double pack which has Cape Fear and the Cape Fear remake in it. I've only seen the original one. I think the original one is such a great, intense thriller horror type film. Never seen the remake before, but I know it has Robert De Niro in it, so, and also directed by Martin Scorsese. So, yeah, looking forward to see that. Then we have a film with Robert Wagner. I'm not really sure how you pronounce his name, but A Kiss Before Dying. Some thriller from the 50s. And we have a film called Romeo is Bleeding with Gary Oldman. Sorry for being really fast now, but I have plenty of films to go through, so that's the reason why I kind of speed up now a little bit. Then we have The Falcon and the Snowman with, what's his name, Sean Penn, yeah. Then we have a film, The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. Damn, what a title. With Burt Reynolds and Dolly Parton. Yeah. Talking about pirate films from the 80s that I mentioned before, this is another one of those. This is Roman Polanski's film Pirates with Walter Matthau, whatever you want to call him. Then we have, this is another film that I just picked up because it's considered a classic and I have never seen this before. The reason why is I am not a fan of musicals in general, but I thought, well, I should at least give this a shot because it's considered a classic. Singing in the Rain. Yeah. Great cast in that film. Then we have Steve McQueen in Bullet, which I've heard has one of the most tense car chase sequences ever filmed. Yeah, sounds amazing. Then we have a late 90s low-budget action film, probably, with Charles Napier, Richard Lynch, Frank Zagarino, and Joe Lara, Kimberly Cates Armstrong. Canon film? No, is this a Canon film? I can be totally wrong about this, but I think one of the guys that own Canon Films, I think he directed this, but I can be totally wrong about that. You need to correct me on that if I am wrong, so to say, yeah. Then we have Pacific Heights with, goddamn glare, sorry. This is with Melanie Griffith, Matthew Modine, and Michael Keaton. Yeah. Then we have another one of those replay releases. Film called Cutaway. When I read up about this is a made-for-TV film, and the funny part is when I read the plot or the storyline for this, it sounded exactly like Point Break, so might be a rip-off film. I don't know. Then we have the film called The Protector, which is a terrible title because there's plenty of other films that are also called The Protector, but this is made in the late 90s, low-budget action film, I used to assume. So, yeah. Then we have the film called The Brown Bunny. The main reason why I wanted to see this is because I read, I think it was some sort of not biography, but I did read a little bit about Roger Ebert and the films that he despised. And this was one of them. So I thought, well, I want to watch this just to see what he hated so much about this film. It's with Vincent Gallo. I think he also directed it, and I can be totally wrong, but yeah. The Brown Bunny. I have no idea what it's all about, but yeah. It'll be interesting to check that one out. Then we have Out of Sight with George Clooney. This has to be 90s, right? Yeah, late 90s action film. This is another one which I think is sort of considered a classic. Sex, Lies, and Videotape from the late 80s. Now this one had me laughing because I think the cover art is really hilarious and it has Gary Busey in it. The film is called The Chain. Let's look at that. Look at that cover art. Looks amazing. Then we have In the Cut, which is an early 2000s thriller film. And then we have Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, which is not a documentary, but it is sort of a biography film about his life. And yeah, unfortunately, I haven't seen that many Bruce Lee films. Then again, I don't think he directed. I don't think he appeared in that many films before he unfortunately died. But yeah, looking forward to see those as well eventually. Now this one is another one of those films that I just felt I need to get in my collection because I've heard all the rumors of how weird and stupid this film is. This is directed by John Boorman, who directed The Exorcist 2. The film is Sardos, which I've only heard weird things about, but yeah, would love to see it anyway. Now let's see, then we have another stack right here. The next one is Kickboxer 2. Want to get the Swedish release of this, but then again, the Swedish release is nearly impossible to get a hold of nowadays, so picked up this Region 1 release instead. Does not have Van Damme in it. I don't really know how they will continue this series without Van Damme, because he was amazing in the first one. But yeah, what's his name? Sasha Mitchell, is that his name? Yeah, I think that's the lead guy in this one. So if I like this one, I might consider picking up part 3 and 4. Part 5 I've only heard really bad things about. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Now this one, when I picked up this one, I thought I would get the Vinegar Syndrome release, because this is a release actually released by Troma, and this cover art looks so stupid. It's some sort of women in prison film. The film is called Lust for Freedom. Yeah, weird cover art. Then we have 2 Minutes Warning. I think based on true events about some hostage situation about terrorists attacking I think it's a football field, an American football field. I can be totally wrong about that, but yeah. Then we have, let's see what it's called. It is called The Name of the Rose, with Sean Connery, and I think also has Christian Slater in it. I can be totally wrong about that, but yeah, Christian Slater as well, and Ron Perlman. Yeah, that sounds promising. Then we have, I'm not too sure if this is the original title or not, but the film is called Operation Opium. A great looking cover art, 70s crime thriller film. And then I picked up Universal Soldier: The Return, which is I'm not too sure if this. I think this is supposed to be a sequel to the first one, because they did release 1 or 2 made-for-TV films as well between this one and the first one. I'm not too sure how they are connected, because Van Damme is not in those 2 films. So yeah, Universal Soldier: The Return. Let's see here. Then we have that. I'm just going to move around these a little bit. Then we have, talking about that, we have Universal Soldier 3: Unfinished Business, which is one of those made-for-TV films that I did not have in that series. Only heard bad things about these, but I think I have seen this one or the previous one on TV at one point, and I thought they were really hilarious and stupid. So yeah. Then finally I picked up Battle Beyond the Stars. Great sci-fi film, which I think more people should see. Even though it is a Roger Corman film, it really looks professional to me. Then we have The Great Escape with Steve McQueen. Yeah. I think considered as one of the best escape or like prison escape films of all time. Then we have a film called Capone. Now this is the one from the 70s, 75. The main reason why I want to get this is because Sylvester Stallone is in this one, and I'm a big fan of Stallone in general. Then we have Robert De Niro and Harvey Keitel in the film by Martin Scorsese called Mean Streets. Never seen, but I think it's one of his earliest films. Then we have these 2. The Three Musketeers, the 70s one, and the sequel, The Four Musketeers. Yeah, great cast in both of those. Then we have an 80s comedy film called Three Fugitives with Martin Short and Nick Nolte. Another like car chase film, I believe, a film called The Driver, 78, I believe. Then we have the film called Love and Bullets with Charles Bronson. Can't go wrong with that. Then we have Sherlock Holmes versus Jack the Ripper, another Studio S release. Then we have these two films, which I'm kind of ashamed that I haven't seen any of these. Airplane and Airplane, the sequel, or the second one. And then we have a 90s sci-fi action film with Denzel Washington called Virtuosity, probably butchered the title, but yeah, hey ho. Now this is gonna turn out to be a very long video, but let's continue. The next one is a film called Commando Invasion, which looks like a really sketchy looking, not release, but the cover art is truly amazing. This is a German release. Apparently it's directed by a guy called June Gallardo. Again, when it comes to some of those Filipino action films, you never really know who directed them, because sometimes when Godfrey Ho is directing a film, he's using any of his 50 other aliases, so it could be him. Then we have a film with Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen. Emilio Estevez was the main reason I wanted to get this, and also I've read about the true story because it's based on true events. Rated X. Looks like a porno, but it's actually about two porno directors, or like some people that own like a big business, and they were like really bitter towards one another, and the real case is really interesting. So even though I might not enjoy this film, I can really recommend to read up about that story if you like true crime things in general. Really interesting. So yeah, Rated X, made for TV film from the early 2000s. And then we have And Justice for All. Not sure if this is where Metallica got their inspirations from to make that album, but this is the film with Al Pacino. Yeah, drama film from the 70s. Then we have Electra Glide in Blue, which looks like some biker film, police biker film from the 70s. The back of this looks really amazing, so yeah. Then we have a film with Sean Connery again, and Dustin Hoffman and Matthew Broderick, Family Business, another Studio S release. Then I'm so glad I found this, because this is our sequel, which I couldn't find anywhere, but I finally found it, and the movie is Cleopatra Jones and the Casino of Gold, which is another like blaxploitation film. Then we have another Bud Spencer film called Bomber, which I think is considered as one of his best films. Then we have a Van Damme film from the early 2000s or late 90s, I'm not really sure. Knockoff. Probably recognize that cover art if you know what film I'm talking about, if it's another title. And then it is MCQ. I'm not really sure if you say that, but it's with John Wayne, and it's one of his last films he appeared in. Yeah, this is how it looks like, front cover. Then we have Rent a Cop with Burt Reynolds, which I've only heard bad things about, but then again, it's made in the 80s, and it's with Burt Reynolds. Gotta be some good coming out of it. Then we have High Stakes with Sally Kirkland. Yeah, thriller, I believe. Yeah, thriller film. Then we have Frank Sinatra in Never So Few. Amazing looking cover art. I think I've probably said that millions of times now. Amazing cover art, but yeah, that's really the truth. Then we have Future World, which I think is some sort of sequel to what's it called? Land. I think you know what movie I'm referring to, but the one with Joel Brunner in it. Futureland, is that the film called? You probably know what film I'm talking about, so I'm not gonna start dwelling on that. But then finally I picked up this one. This is one of the very few John Carpenter films which I had missing in my collection. The only one that I still have missing is Escape from L.A. and I think that's really the only other John Carpenter film that I still don't have. But this is one of the other ones, The Invisible Man. Let's say Memoirs of an Invisible Man. That's the name of the film. And I've heard from I think it was Red Letter Media that talked about this, that this does not feel like a John Carpenter film, and that seems very interesting to me. So yeah. Then we have more Godfrey Ho craziness, probably. Hitman, the Cobra, with can you see him? Richard Harrison, probably dressed up as a ninja. You never know. Then we have Wartime, Filipino action film with the Swedish star. No, is that him? No, it's not. Yeah, it is Bo Svensson. Then we have the film called Trident Force. You see a little pattern here. There's some German releases here. Then this one I decided to pick up because I didn't even know this existed on DVD. Watched this and I did not enjoy it, but I'm still willing to give it another chance. The film is Master Blaster. Such a stupid plot and everything. It's kind of funny in a weird way. Then we have Scorpio with Burt Lancaster again. I've really recently gotten more and more into his films. Then we have, here we go again, Game for Vultures with Richard Harris and Richard Roundtree. Really an interesting combo. Then we have the original Jungle Book from the 40s. This is another film that I think I have seen before, but there's so many films at this point that is called the Jungle Book, so it can be another one of those. Then we have Gaslight. Watched this a while ago and I really enjoyed it. And then we have Blood In, Blood Out, which is like a mafia type film. So let's continue. The next one is a film called Bubba, the Redneck Werewolf. Might be more of a horror film or like a horror comedy, I'm not really sure. But by the way, sorry for the terrible lighting in here right now because of the damn sun coming in right there. Then we have a double pack with Future Force 1 and 2, but I think the second one is called something else. Anyway, I would just call them Future Force 1 and 2. I think the second one is called something like Future Zone, I believe. Apparently with David Carradine being drunk. That's what I've been told by Red Letter Media. Now this is a film that looks so incredibly sketchy. I think this has to be a bootleg. And this is not even on the IMDb. I can't find this on IMDb like anywhere. Karate Killer. Look at this sketchy looking DVD release. Doesn't even have the original like DVD logo. It's just some weird. I think might be the same company that released Horror Express, which I was so I just bummed out because the cover, but the picture quality on that was truly awful. Then we have Bobby Joe and the Outlaw, which I think is really underrated, really great. I'm not really sure what to call it, but it's a great like film about these people that are trying to escape the authorities and they're really up to no good. This is directed by Mark Lester, who also did Commando, Class of 1984 and 99, and he also did that what was it called? It was some exploitation film from the 70s. I can be totally wrong right now. Just keep mumbling here. Then we have U.S. Samurai with Mako. Remember him? Also Terry O'Quinn is in this one. So that's very interesting cast. Now this one I was so glad when I found this on DVD because this is a film I've been wanting to get for such a long time because this was only released on VHS for the longest of times, and then it got released on Blu-ray, but of course it was region coded, so I couldn't get that Blu-ray, and got this DVD. Rad. This is such an 80s type film. If you like the film Trashin' from the similar year, you would definitely like Rad as well. It's a very similar type film. I mean, Trashin' is more about skateboarding, and this is more about BMX. So yeah. Then we have Let It Ride, 80s comedy film from the late 80s. Then we have The Boys in Company C with the guy who's always mad. What's his name? Oh god damn it. Lee Ermey. Lee R. Ermey. Yeah, that's his name. Lee Ermey. Then we have... Now I actually do have one of these films before, but the reason why I wanted to get this is because of one of the Women in Prison films included in this box set. The films are Angels from Hell, Shatterbox, The Naked Cage, and Savage Island, which is the film I had before, but yeah. These are the films. This is the one, the reason why I want to get this, The Naked Cage, which is a 80s Women in Prison film. Then we have some more blaxploitation film action with Fred Williamson as Mean Johnny Burrows. Yeah. Then we have Game of Survival, which I think Red Letter Media covered at one point. That's the reason why I wanted to get that. Then we have two films with Cynthia Rothrock. The films are Shina O'Brien and Shina O'Brien 2. Yeah. Now this is another one which looks really hilarious. The film is Irish American Ninja. What a weird title. Then we have The Lords of Flatbush. I'm not really sure how we pronounce that, but wanted to get this for the longest of times. I decided to pick up this Region 1 DVD release of it instead, because the Swedish release goes for probably $100 or like $120, which is truly really insane. Then we have film directed by Joseph Mary, who directed a bunch of low-budget action films in the 90s. The film is called Emperor of the Bronx, which has William Smith in it. I think he unfortunately passed away not that long ago. He was in so many entertaining low-budget action films. Then we have The Border from the early 80s with Jack Nicholson and Harvey Keitel. Then we have 50s black and white sci-fi film called Tobor the Great. Yeah. Then we have a Alfred Hitchcock film called Suspicion. Then we have Run, Bitch, Run. Then we have Under Fire by Roger Spottiswoode, is that his name? Yeah, I believe so. Early 80s war thriller type film. Then we have, let's see what this is called again, because The Postman Always Rings Twice. This is the version from the 40s. Yeah. Then we have a John Badham film with Mel Gibson called Bird on a Wire, also with Goldie Hawn. And then we have Gone Are the Days with a bunch of elderly actors. Lance Henriksen, Tom Berenger, Danny Trejo, Steve Railsback. Oh wow, that's an interesting cast. Then we have Kickboxer Cop. I think I was starting to collect some of those cop-related films in general, because there's some bunch of those like Mania Cop, Psycho Cop, Ninja Cop, although not Ninja Cop, I think Samurai Cop was the one, yeah. Then we have War Cat, Angel of Vengeance, which I'm not totally sure if that's the original title or not, but I think this is another one of those weird Filipino type films. No, wait a minute, this is by Ted V. Michaels, who also did Astro Zombies and Mark of the Astro Zombies. More ninja action, and apparently directed by Joseph Kahn, which might be Godfrey Ho, not ever sure. Ninja Invasion. Yeah. And then we have more ninja stuff. Ninja Hunt. And then Ninja Dragon, which I have seen, and that is pretty hilarious. Now let's see here. Then we have Heaven's Hell. Yeah. And then we have Thunderclap Terminator Woman. Really weird. Let's see here. I need to move some of these away. Then we have Night of the Running Man, not to be confused with The Running Man. This has Andrew McCarthy in it, and this is from the mid-90s action thriller, I believe. And then we have a hard box of a film called Broken Bars, right here, with with Joe Estevez and Wings Hauser in it. What a combo! Now let's see here. This is the last stack. This is actually all of the horror films that I picked up recently, or recently. I mean, it was a while ago now, but yeah, some of them I had already forgotten about as well. So first up, we have Python with Robert Englund and Casper Van Dien. I've been told this is a really hilarious B film, or like a low budget film, a made for TV film. Then I also picked up Python 2, which I've only heard bad things about, but still wanted to get it. Then we have a film which is directed by Andrea Bianchi, Strip Nude for Your Killer, Giallo from the 70s. And then we have Killer Nun, which I've been wanting to get for such a long time. Shameless release as well. And this is a really hilarious title, by the way. Witch Bitch. This is actually Death Spa, but this is the alternative title, the German title. Witch Bitch is a really hilarious title. Then we have The Whip and the Body with Christopher Lee, directed by Mario Bava. Yeah. Low budget, early 2000s horror film called Flesh Freaks. Awesome looking cover art. Then this one I was so glad I found, because I didn't even know this had a DVD release. This is the 80s horror film called Hunter's Blood. Had this on VHS before, but I think my VCR might have been eating parts of that VHS, so glad I found this. But the cover art is extremely misleading. It looks like some early 2000s slasher film. Awful cover art, but a great film in my opinion. Then we have Relative Fear, also 90s horror film. And then we have The Dark, which I also know is released by Code Red, but this is the Shriek Show release. Totally fine with that. It's the film itself that I'm really most interested in, so yeah. Then we have The Bees. Yeah. So I think this has to be 70s, yeah, 78. And then we have Extro and Extro 2. The reason why I wanted to get this was because of Extro 2, because I already had the first Extro in my collection. And then just because of that, I've decided to pick up Extro 3 as well. Heard the Extro 3 is supposed to be better than the second one, but not really sure. Then we have some Yes Franco sleaze, probably. Succubus. Yeah. Released by Anchor Bay. And then we have the film called Things, which is not supposed to be confused with the 80s Things, which is one of the weirdest films I've ever seen. This is The Things, which is the anthology film. I didn't care too much for this one, but still it had some really amazing gore effects. I just had to get that. Then we have the late 90s film. This has to be late 90s, early 2000s film called Blood Kiss. Some vampire film, apparently. And then we have The Little Girl Who Lived Down the Lane from the 70s with Jodie Foster. And we have some Mondo Macabro releases. 7 Women for Satan. Yeah. And then we have Satanico Pandemonium, which I think they got the name for Salma Hayek's character in From Dusk Till Dawn is named after this film, so yeah, because that's a 70s film. Then I picked up these two. These are also two that I was really looking forward to get, because I already had the other ones in the collection. And the films are Killer Tomatoes Strike Back and Killer Tomatoes Eat France, double pack. And then we have The Sinful Dwarf, which comes with two versions, one theatrical version and one Danish hardcore version, which I can only assume is more sexualized in some ways. Speaking of sexualized, the next film is called Sex and Fury. Main reason why I wanted to get this was because of Christina Lindberg, who is also most famously in Thriller, A Cruel Picture, or they call her One Eye, or whatever you want to call that film. Then we have Igor and the Lunatics, which I thought I had in the collection before, but apparently I did not. And then we have another Troma film, because I think that's a Troma film. Yeah, it's a Troma film. This Troma film is called Sucker, the Vampire, horror comedy film. And then we have Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell with Peter Cushing. Then finally I got this. This was the last one I had to complete that series. Curse of the Fly. Have all their films. The first two and the remakes to those two. So yeah. Then we have Kiss of the Vampire. Yeah. And then we have, let's see, The Fall of the House of Usher. Right here. Yeah. And then we have The Camp on Blood Island, which might be a more war film than a straightforward horror film, but yeah. With a title like that, I had to put it in the horror catalog. And then I got this one as a bonus because I ordered a bunch of films from a seller who really sold me interesting and awesome looking films. So he included this one, The Last Exorcism Part 2. Only seen the first one, and I thought the first one was pretty good. I mean, pretty good for like a, I think it was a not shot on video, but I think it was a found footage film. So yeah. Then we have Kidnapped, also Anchor Bay. Mario Bava, I've heard this is one of his best films, so yeah, really looking forward to see that. And then we have a Paul Naschy film, I'm not really sure how to pronounce his name, Curse of the Devil. And I would really like to get more of that man's films, or that with films with that man, because, or that actor, because I've heard really good things about him. Then we have The Blood Spattered Bride, released by Blue Underground. And then we have The Shining, the TV show not made by Stephen King, but like, I think, yeah, Mick Garris directed this miniseries. So because we all know Stephen King was not very pleased with Stanley Kubrick's version. So then we have a film by Mats Helge Olsson, who also did direct Blood Tracks, An India Mission, and Eagle Island. This is the film called Forgotten Wells, from the early 90s or late 80s, so yeah. Low budget probably. And this is another low budget film. This is a shot on video film from the 80s called Night Feeder. Awesome looking cover art, if you ask me. Then we have Son of Darkness, To Die For 2, which is the sequel to Die For from the 80s, which I thought was a little bit mediocre, but then again I picked it up and then I decided to rewatch it and I liked it a little bit more, so I thought, well, let's get the sequel as well. Now, finally, we're off to the last stack of this DVD and Blu-ray update. So yeah, these are the Blu-rays that I haven't showed you yet. Into the Night with Jeff Goldblum. Then we have some H8 Films releases. Karate Warrior. Might try to track down the second one if I like the first one. Some sort of Italian rip-off of the Karate Kid, I believe. Then we have The Green Inferno, which is sort of like a loosely made sequel to Cannibal Holocaust, even though it doesn't even have anything to do with Cannibal Holocaust. Pretty stupid and pretty unforgettable. Forgettable, that's what I wanted to say, so yeah. Talking about forgettable cannibal films, the next one is Cannibal Terror, which was truly awful. And even the director, or the directors of this film, stole some of the footage from Jess Franco, from his film Devil Hunter, so yeah. Then we have a film that I watched ages ago, before this even got released on DVD or Blu-ray. This was on YouTube, I believe, and that was the only way I could find this film. The film is called Scary Movie. Not the Scary Movie from the early 2000s. This is from the early 90s. If I remember correctly, this had some really awesome atmosphere to it, so it's going to be a blast to finally check that one out again. And then we have Lucio Fulci's film The Devil's Honey, which I've been told is more like a softcore porno than anything else, but I thought, well, Lucio Fulci, I gotta get that. And then we have Death Walks on High Heels, which I think is the one that was released before Death Walks on High Heels. I think this is a... Oh, what's the other film called? I totally forgot that, but I think this one has a sequel as well, which I still haven't seen, but I think I have in the collection. And then we have a Code Red Blu-ray release of a film called Deadly Hero. Really awesome looking cover art, if you ask me. And then we have the film called Action Jackson with Carl what's his name? Carl Weathers, is that his name? Yeah, Action Jackson. Action Jackson, which also has Vanity in it. So yeah. Then the last of this update is the film called The Big Gun Down, which is the first film in this series, which was followed by Face to Face and ended with what's that film called again? Completely Run Man Run, I believe. I would love to get Face to Face as well because I don't have that one yet. So, but this one looks amazing. Lee Van Cleef and Thomas Millian. I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, but in a Western film together, it's got to be good. So, oh my God, I've been talking for almost an hour now. This is going to be my longest video on YouTube ever. But yeah, hope you enjoyed and keep your eyes open for the next video. And yeah, see you next time. Bye bye.